Guns, a lack of self-preservation, and of course, chlamydia. All these combined form the perfect faction, the Skaven.
Oh my god, he's got a fucking knife!
So welcome everyone to Total Warhammer, a game where having severe scoliosis might actually save your life. So the Skaven, as a faction, they are all mentally insane, and also very good at it. For example, this perfectly sound individual, Ikit Claw, who goes by many titles, such as The Claw. God, I'm choking. Right Fang of Saddam Hussein, and also various. Now, unlike the other factions, Ikit Claw provides the small and honestly insignificant advantage of having a nuclear arsenal. Yes, you may be very ugly, but have you tried disintegrating? So, our goal for today's venture, seeing that with the latest DLC we can finally fight the real evil of the world, the French. So defeat the French, a short campaign victory, and most importantly, win. So in the game we start off in our capital, luxurious residence called Skaven, often confused with the streets of Detroit. In our surroundings we have a lot of different factions, the Germans, the mentally unwell, the vertically unwell, and well, a tree. So our first move, liberate the local Germans, and this I have to disagree. So Ikit's starting army is very interesting. Interesting in that it feels interestingly unfair for everyone else. We have these 50 caliber snipers, rattling gunners, and a very sharp wheel. And I didn't know, but the snipers are actually very accurate. Meanwhile, I'm unsure if the rattling gunners are aware of what they're actually shooting at. Well, winning this battle, this brings me to the Skaven special mechanic, food. Now food's very important, just like real life. Giving enough food you can level up a province to whatever level you want. Of course, just as any corrupt government, this comes with the tiny drawback of starvation, but it's very convenient. I also got a new lord, picking Warlock, because the other lords look like they definitely have a problem with sexual deviancy. Now I really like Reupload the Insane, but there was something about Braum that spoke to me, which is his loyalty. Just like human rights, it's a mechanic in name only. Getting a couple of Skaven slings, which honestly barely qualifies as a unit, making Ikit's army look like a mixture of the Navy SEALs and the Taliban, it was finally time for Ikit's special mechanic, being mentally unhinged, or in official terms, the Forbidden Workshop. Using special fuel, also known as war fuel, conveniently found in the bodies of our enemies, and some food, which conveniently is also found in the bodies of our enemies, we can starve our people while making certain units stronger. For example, giving infinite ammo to our rattling gunners, which yes, is pretty good. Or we can use that to make nuclear bombs, which is even better. Moving closer to the Germans, the Beastmen were one step ahead, stopping me from colonizing the province. Lucky for me, Ikit had fast legs, making it to the clearly German named province of Nuja, while at the same time giving Braum the best units money can buy, Skaven slaves, after choosing to fight the furry menace through my peaceful violence. And I have to disagree, letting my rattling gunners shoot warning shots, and I don't think they're aiming for the right beastman. Now that's a questionable injury at best. Well, after some time, we won, and Bilbali, which really doesn't sound German at all, was the final province left, which had an interesting event where the Beastmen raised it, and the Germans took it back. Moving Ikit and Braum together, as an ambush would be very unfortunate, they worked as a unit, until I finally got the province. And then I got attacked. So here we have 47 Skaven versus 16 Beastmen. A fair fight. This begins with Braum effectively holding the line, with his Skaven slaves, living up to his name of an actual meat shield. This worked surprisingly well. How? I do not know. Fortunately, I did not lose anything of value until Ikit appeared. When Ikit appeared, the Beastmen were probably very confused why the rats just doesn't seem to go away. When Morgur the big bad appeared, he was getting blasted by bullets. Unfortunately, I did not realize that Morgur, he was built different. Allegedly. As I do not have the funds to check this, he has regeneration, making him regenerate HP consistently. This lasted of course until the consistent 1 damage hits started to finally add up. And in other words, this lasted until he got bored and simply decided to just walk away. suffering about 40% casualties. This was a decisive victory for this Skaven. In the following turn, I abandoned my settlement, then retook it, but this time at level 5. All for the small cost in that we are now starving. So placing my people on an involuntary diet does have its benefits. The rats will be ready for summer, and I can also recruit the best units money can buy. Now I do not have said money to buy these units or even to build their buildings, but what I do have money for is investing into a ritual, as you do when you are poor. So these are the rights available to me, and let me tell you, they're all kinda not that great. Except this one, investing into a unique warlock engineer who has two purposes in life, either building a undercity or terrorism. In the following turn, Morgur came back, and an imminent rebellion. Great. Give your rebellions Stockholm Syndrome so they will always return the next day. But before that, an event. So the Skaven slaves have been very scared recently, and all because of a box. Now this box is very scary. It causes fear, terror, and discourage. Extremely balanced. Now finally taking out Morgur, I had Ikit go back to Skavenblight for a pit stop. Ding 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 dong, oh it's the dwarves, our best friends in height. Fortunately, they are also at war with Aranessa, the local pirate vampire who unfortunately is probably worse than my Skaven slaves. She offered me a trade agreement, which I accepted, because money is always good, and this is quite bad. As this is a siege, I should fight it, and as this is a siege, it is not fun at all. While letting my rattling gunners and slingers take out most of the ranged units, this was pretty free for Ikit to use his totally balanced magic to do what they always do. After several minutes of regretting choosing to fight this one, I contemplated the Epstein special. But just in time, I managed to get this siege, but I couldn't win it. As it turns out, rats are very bad climbers, and I don't know how these dwarves got up there, but they can't get down, and I can't get up. So I had to win this the old-fashioned way, a way that I believe that none of us ever do. I had to take the checkpoints. After winning that battle, our food delivery has appeared, Berthold and his rebels come. Unfortunately, my army is just as bad, but through the use of magic and superior, using that word very loosey-goosey, firepower, I won. And he will be back. In the following turns, I also managed to establish a undercity in Bordeloo. So what this does is establishing something akin to a slum for the ugly and deranged, so basically the Skaven. There are several things an undercity can do. Do you need more money? Well, how about getting a stable income through stealing? Or perhaps, how about spreading unhygienic hygiene practices to the locals? And these activities increase discoverability, because just like real life, the government really doesn't like unreported immigrants.
They're eating the dogs, the people that came in.
Now back to the front line with the intolerant dwarves. Yes, they are very racist, but so is everyone else. I got attacked. But this is completely unfair, as I only got 51 units versus their 31. And I do doubt that these Skavens are actually considered units at this point. And would you look at that, Berthold is back, and he runs away again. This happens one more time until the very next turn. I end his evil search for freedom. Seeing that Mar-a-Lago is about to have an unfortunate workplace accident, I decided to do the responsible thing and sold it to Aranessa for a cheap price of not having to deal with this. And the dwarves did not take it back, which was very unfortunate. But that was not important. It was time for the long-awaited pit stop. Letting Ikit get some more units such as 50 caliber snipers, rattling gunners, I was ready to defend my lands with bullets. And I did not notice, it seems that the furries heard my pleas for another settlement. Well, it was finally time to fight the dwarves. Quick question, who wins? Rats wielding the power of modern weaponry, or angry short men? Well, using the power of a 40-degree angle, I quickly managed to pacify the dwarves with my bullets, letting me win the first dwarf settlement. This settlement also produces wood. I'm really surprised the rats are not eating it. It looks like the furries are doing God's work, or well, the horned ones' work. Walking after them, I managed to get 2 new settlements, as they were legally not considered owned by Sartosa. This was great. And because Sartosa is a single province region, I don't think I want to be friends anymore. In the next couple of turns, the dwarves prepared 3 armies. I immediately ran away. I also decided to give Karak Puftar to Orion, because if I don't get the province, neither will the dwarves. As I was not outnumbering them 2 to 1. This is completely unfair. Thankfully, the AI chose the Illuminati pose for their armies, which allowed ikit to engage with a 50 against 27. Now this is more like it. Given the second and third army AI control, as my small brain will not handle so many units, we engage in this fierce duel against the dwarves. Letting the AI attack first, I saw a perfect opportunity to commit severe war crimes that also happened to look like a nuclear explosion. All in all, this fight was not hard at all, Ikit Claw only losing 2 units, probably to self-inflicted harm. In the next moment, I caught the dwarves with only Ikit. Fortunately, this map doesn't favor their short and stumpy legs, giving my rattling gunners a field day, making this into some kind of green laser show. Before fighting the dwarves, again, I chose to take Sartosa and immediately make it a level 5 province. The vampires didn't seem to like my investment strategies, so they chose to engage in vandalism against my province of this clearly Italian name. A while later, Snickage, not this one, had a workplace accident with some special warp dust. We could gather it, forbid further scientific progress, or we can do the most reasonable thing and inhale it, which did turn him into an X-Men. Later on, Ikit attacked Karakizor using the tactic of superior firepower. I won. In before, I got another event with Snickage. After he chose to breathe in the magic dust, Ikit questioned if he was a bit too loyal perhaps, as any sane business conglomerate would, I imagine. So Ikit decided to spray him with his musk. No one dares question the one bearing their overlord's scent. Turns out, the rats are not only mentally insane, but also sexual deviants. With only 1 province left, I waited outside his home for several turns. And then I left. And then he left. Attacking Belegar, I managed to get an ambush. Unfortunately, for some reason, I placed my units on the wrong side to catch their back line. And I honestly think the rattling gunners are doing this on purpose. Managing to defeat his backline, I was ready to put my backline to good use. Unsurprising to anyone, an axe is not a good weapon against a Gatling gun. Having finished the dwarves, it was only 1 settlement left. Meanwhile, I completely forgot about the French. Going to war against Fae, as the French are the French, there was no real way of stopping my army of peace. Except having me fight these siege battles. Oh god. Well, so while I share this interesting siege battle that I have completely removed from my memory, let me tell you about unit progression. So Warhammer's unit progression is pretty wacky when it comes to some races. Usually you have a unit, you give them better stats to make them better. So you have a peasant, you give them hopes and dreams, and then he turns into a warrior. That later turns into an experienced warrior. The rats don't function this way at all, so you first give him a stone, then a Gatling gun, and finally a very smelly stone. Well, moving on. I was even preparing Snickage for an altercation, removing several of his units until I realized I do not have an arsenal building in Skaven. While Snickage was waiting, Braum was on a solo mission, and a message from Bellacore. Oh, of course. That's a face only a mother can love. Looking at it now, all my friends have questionable moral sense. Well, after contemplating if we are the bad guys, and it was now I saw my first French army, and no, I don't want to. In a later turn, Ikit was finally getting his final form of poisoned wind mortars and deathcloak bombardiers, which, to put it very simply, are units that throw a very bad smell, and as you can guess, are very good. While Ikit was getting ready, I managed to ambush the Fae, and she had the Nemesis crown. Isn't she supposed to be a good person? Well, taking it for Braum, it was finally time for Ikit. I decided to let him try it out on the local forest people, while simultaneously getting trade deals with the worst beings in Warhammer. And as you can see, with a range of several kilometers, or well, 25 football fields, I managed to blast the elves until I finally saw Ryan, where I had my snipers take him out. This must be the grassy knoll they're talking about. And in the next turn, this doesn't look good. I don't remember picking Ultimate Crisis. I did with 200% strength. Well, I believe I am brain damaged. Realizing that I'm on a very strict timer that I was actually unaware of, I picked. It was time for fast acting moves. I had Snickage and ikit move towards the Oak of Ages, a tree that is clearly not natty. Burning it down, lucky for me, Luen decided to attack, increasing my already fragile blood pressure. Snickage moved into the mountains to take the settlements. Finding Luen in a bit of a pickle, we had an altercation, but Brom is clearly built different. As I kept taking land, time to check my progress. Estelia gone, check. Tilea, I don't know who that is, check. Third French named faction, not check. As the clock was ticking, I had to take drastic measures. I mean, reliability is just a word, and I can't read. Taking Bordalo, it was just a few settlements left. I had ikit siege Paravon. I really don't want a siege battle, but then I had a realization. I have the power of terrorism. Summoning Charge Loki, I sent him out on his first and final mission, cause earthquake. How he does it, I guess we will never know. Time for the battle. And you know, I don't think I will. Choosing to move on, I took Montfort with ikit instead. Now there was only 2 places left, this French named Castle and Castle Artois. Luckily in the very next turn I managed to get both settlements. And finally, I am not yet done. Luckily they chose to fight me the very next turn. And now I am still not done. Hubald with his single lord army is still alive. Luckily I had Brahmum the case. And now I am at peace. Well, technically. Well, this is it for this one. Thanks for watching. Bye.